What's up, YouTube? In today's video, we're going to be breaking down everything you need to know about NAS100. Let's go. So if you follow me closely, you know that the one and only thing I really primarily trade nowadays is NAS100, also known as the NASDAQ. Now, I want to give you guys really a full scope of what exactly is NASDAQ, why do I trade it, and how you can actually utilize this asset in your trading plan to really make this your best trading year yet. So NASDAQ is actually a acronym for National Association of Securities Dealers Automated Quotations. Very long word, but essentially, guys, this is an exchange just like the New York Stock Exchange, primarily housing tech stocks such as Nvidia, Amazon, Apple, you know the works. Historically, NASDAQ hasn't even really been around that long. They were founded in 1971, and at that time, they didn't even allow electronic trading. They were simply a quotation system reporting prices. But fast forward to 2000, this is when it had peaked right before the dot-com bubble where it actually crashed 80%. And fast forward again now to 2024, it is the second largest exchange behind the New York Stock Exchange here in America. And it houses some of the most powerful companies of all time that we all know and love today. Now let's hop onto the charts and show you guys why I choose to trade NASDAQ over, forex pairs, gold, other type of assets that exist out there that are very popular in the trading space. So first and foremost, when it comes to the volatility and average daily range between NASDAQ compared to, again, let's say something like Euro USD, it's a massive difference, guys. Euro USD, you're going to be looking at less than maybe 50 pips a day on average. I don't even know the numbers off the top of my head, but the point is you can just look at a chart for something like Euro USD and the type of moves in terms of, again, how much volatility or how much movement we're seeing in a trading session is nowhere in comparison to something like NASDAQ, where we are moving, hundreds of points sometimes on a daily basis. And so for speed, for, how aggressive we want to trade and how much we want to squeeze when it comes to the risk to reward potential in a single trading day, I found that indices like the NASDAQ are just on a different level, right? So that is first and foremost. We're able to catch very big moves almost on a daily basis just from trading NAS alone. The second thing that we want to understand when it comes to, why I trade NASDAQ is the session timing. When it came to me trading forex pairs like Euro USD, GBP USD, even things like gold, we found that overnight while I'm sleeping during London session, we are seeing a bunch of moves where I'm going to have to, hope that my stop loss doesn't get hit overnight. I can't actively manage the trading position if I'm up in profit to move stops to break even, etc. So lifestyle wise, NASDAQ didn't make sense for me. And for a lot of the US based traders that do not plan to, stay up all night watching a chart or managing their position, trading forex pairs that move during, let's say, London, even things like gold, where we see that volatility come in a lot during London session, it just wasn't ideal for, again, my lifestyle and the way I wanted to trade. Now, when it comes to trading NAS100, we see that really the big moves are always pretty much going to happen during New York session. Now, with my Liberty strategy that I've talked about slightly in other videos, and that you get full access to as a member of our private mentorship program, we see that we can capitalize on the New York session every single day, really after around 8:30 to 9 a.m. Eastern, after we have high impact news, and even ideally after the New York Stock Exchange open at that 9:30 a.m. mark is where we see our biggest moves for NASDAQ. So yes, we can see once in a while some type of moves happen during London session, but typically if we are, pretty much exclusively trading during New York session, we're going to be able to catch the biggest moves that are offered 90% of the time. So lifestyle wise, it's a great asset to trade to, again, capture very strong moves with high risk to reward ratios We're able to get in and out of the market within one trading session during New York, really just a few hours or less. We're able to catch very big moves. And so we're able to capitalize again on the volatility and the lifestyle of not having to worry about the markets overnight while I'm sleeping. Now, from a technical analysis perspective, there's a couple of things that I go a lot more in depth on through the private mentorship program on my live trading sessions via akashx. But in general, something that you guys want to realize when it comes to trading NASDAQ is the importance of timing. Timing is such a huge thing when it comes to trading in general, but specifically the indices like NASDAQ. And there's two things that I look at timing wise. Number one is going to be the Asian range. And the second thing is going to be the New York Stock Exchange opening bell. So I have indicators that I use that pretty much highlight that very specific time window for Asian range. And a big part of what I look for is for a directional bias of the day. How are we breaking out of the Asia highs and lows when it comes to NASDAQ? Now, obviously, we're going to look at other factors such as overall trend, market structure, areas of supply and demand, liquidity, imbalances, etc. Now, the Asian range breakout, again, it's not just the only confirmation, but again, it allows us to create a very strong sense of directional bias for the day. Now, the second thing that we look for timing wise is the New York Stock Exchange opening bell, which is that 9:30 a.m. Eastern time frame. This is where the New York Stock Exchange officially opens, and usually we'll see a lot of manipulation, volatility kicking into the market. And after that 9:30 a.m. window is really the ideal time for us to start executing positions for NASDAQ based on the way I trade with the Liberty strategy, but really across the board, anybody that has different methods for trading indices like NASDAQ typically all understand the importance of that 9:30 a.m. Opening bell time frame. So 9:30 a.m. I'll give you an example of one of the trades that just recently happened today. We see that we had the Asia low here marked up, and we wait for that 9:30 a.m. time frame to kick in right here. At 9:30 a.m. we see that we actually swept the Asia high as well as some liquidity or resistance that was here. And after that, we started seeing that price starts pushing to the downside. Now, once we break that Asia low after that liquidity grab, we see an entry for the Liberty strategy. This is a setup that ended up running for about a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio before we saw it return back to entry. But this was an example of an ideal trade, the way that I look at things with Liberty, that allows us to capitalize on the volatility of NAS after that 9:30 a.m. time frame. Now, the only other thing timing wise besides the New York Stock Exchange opening bell and the Asian range is going to be the high impact news, specifically for the US dollar. That's where we head over to forexfactory.com, and a habit that you always want to have as a trader, I would say every Sunday night, is make sure you understand for the week coming, when do we have high impact news? I'm not so worried about other currencies because at the end of the day, NASDAQ is going to really revolve around the US dollar and during the New York session. So exclusively what I look for is the orange and red folders for the US dollar. Now, sometimes we're going to get the big moves of the day right when news is hitting on something like NFP, on something like unemployment claims, FOMC, etc. So if there is no high impact news that specific day, definitely we're just sticking to New York Stock Exchange opening and the Asian range breakouts. But if we do have that high impact news event, it is going to pretty much take precedence over all of the other timings, specifically because when we have that high impact news event, that's going to be the data that's really going to drive the market more times than not. Today on August 14th, we actually saw that we did have a lot of volatility and a lot of basically market manipulation here during that news event. So this wasn't really an ideal example on this specific day, but there are days like we saw last week on, I believe it was Thursday, where we had a massive move during unemployment claims. We saw that we had a breakout to the upside here. New York Stock Exchange opening bell happened slightly after, but this was the news move that created that initial impulse. And so there's a lot of opportunity to be had when you mix the timing of high impact news, New York Stock Exchange opening bell, and the way that NASDAQ breaks out of the Asian range. Now, one very important thing to understand about NAS and trading it is what actually makes up this index. See, a lot of people may confuse or get confused by the terminology of NASDAQ, NAS100, US Tech 100, etc. Always remember the NASDAQ in itself is a company and it has its own stock that you can trade. NASDAQ is also what is going to be the exchange, right? But when we're talking about NAS100, we're talking about the index, right? All the companies that are listed that build up that 100, right? So you'll see that 7 companies make up over 50% of NAS100. That's going to be your Microsoft, Apple, Alphabet, Amazon, Nvidia, Meta, Tesla, etc., right? The other 48 point something% is going to be other companies that are also very large. You got your Starbucks, you got your T-Mobile, you got PepsiCo, etc. Right? You guys can see this all publicly online and get a little bit more information. But essentially what this means, guys, is that not just the technical analysis portion is important. It's also the fundamental side of trading that really gives you the full understanding of the direction that NAS can take so that you're able to have the right directional bias and really catch the big moves, right? So it's very important to look at things like earnings for Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple. Look at what the CEOs are doing. Look at how these companies are moving because, again, they comprise about a little over half of what NAS100 does. So these 7 companies are not something to overlook or to not pay attention to, right? You want to try to stay in tune with what is going on with these companies because if even one of these stocks has a rocky day or a very good day, it can really, enhance or crash what is going on with NAS100 that specific day, week, month, etc. So in summary, guys, what you need to understand when it comes to trading is that over time, especially that I've been doing this for over 5, nearly 6 years, is that you're going to have to play around with the assets that you trade, right? I got it started with binary options, transitioned into forex pairs, started dabbling a little bit with gold and then the indices. And eventually I ended up cutting like 90 something% of all of that out of my trading and just dumbed it down to one pair, one asset that I'm trading during one session of the day. And that has really made everything so much simpler. I feel so much more confident and I can really, double down on what works. And so if you really look at why I trade NAS100, again, it comes down to lifestyle. Being able to trade New York session for that small window of the day is ideal for me to be able to be in and out of the market, catch a very big move with the volatility that NAS offers and go about my day. I also am very in tune with technology. I keep up with Apple, with Microsoft, with Amazon, etc. It's in my field of understanding. So no matter if you decide to trade NAS100, if you guys want to trade gold, if you want to trade oil, you can trade anything. But you want to try to pick something that, again, makes sense to you, something that, creates a reason for it. Don't just randomly trade things because you see somebody else trade it on YouTube or you have a mentor or you're a part of a program and that's what they do. Take the time to really find something that makes sense to you, that fits your trading plan, that fits your lifestyle, and just go all in on it. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you have a further understanding of what the heck NASDAQ is, what is NAS100, and really why I personally trade it so that maybe you also double down on this amazing asset. But guys, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this as I help you guys continue to develop as traders. We got a lot of exciting content coming up the rest of 2024. A lot of trips, a lot of events taking place within akashx. So guys, I will see y'all on the next video, and let's run it up.